day. There's also state-of-the-art event and meeting spaces for hire, a complimentary business support service to help you upskill, apply for grants and grow, workshops and networking, as well as training for young kids right through to adults. Plus, the City of Playford Library.
Contact our team for a tour on 8254 4666 or visit the Stratton Centre at 307 Peachy Road, Manopara.
Support your local theatre and arts industry and enjoy a show at the Shedley. Playford's iconic Shedley Theatre is bringing a great selection of local and national performances to Elizabeth.
For more information on their upcoming shows, visit theshedley.com.au or call 8256 0500.
Did you know your food scraps should go in the green bin or a home compost system? It's better for the environment. It's the right thing to do. And it's easy. Fight food waste by putting all your food scraps, peels and leftovers in the green bin. To find out more, visit playford.sa.gov.au/fightfoodwaste.
Want to know what's happening in the community? Subscribe to our e-newsletter, Playford News, at playford.sa.gov.au and you'll be on top of stories, news and what's happening in Playford. It's local news for local people.
Want to get involved in your community? There are so many benefits in becoming a volunteer at City of Playford, including meeting new people, developing new skills, sharing your talents, improving your employability, as well as enhancing your own mental health and well-being.
If you want to learn more about how to volunteer with us, visit playford.sa.gov.au/volunteers. Feedback about our city's future from our community is really important. It helps us prioritise your needs when planning services, projects and other initiatives.
A convenient way to have your say and stay in the loop on any upcoming consultations is by registering your details on our Engagement Hub website at playford.engagementhub.com.au.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Have you visited the Stratton Centre on Peachy Road, Manopara? Designed to support growth in the City of Playford, the centre offers dedicated workspaces from less than $10 per day. There's also state-of-the-art event and meeting spaces for hire, a complimentary business support service to help you upskill, apply for grants and grow, workshops and networking, as well as training for young kids right through to adults. Plus, the City of Playford Library.
Contact our team for a tour on 8254 4666 or visit the Stratton Centre at 307 Peachy Road, Manopara.
Support your local theatre and arts industry and enjoy a show at the Shedley. Playford's iconic Shedley Theatre is bringing a great selection of local and national performances to Elizabeth.
For more information on their upcoming shows, visit theshedley.com.au or call 8256 0500.
Did you know your food scraps should go in the green bin or a home compost system? It's better for the environment. It's the right thing to do. And it's easy. Fight food waste by putting all your food scraps, peels and leftovers in the green bin. To find out more, visit playford.sa.gov.au/fightfoodwaste.
Want to know what's happening in the community? Subscribe to our e-newsletter, Playford News, at playford.sa.gov.au, and you'll be on top of stories, news and what's happening in Playford. It's local news for local people.
Thank you, elected members and staff. We can open the meeting at 7 p.m. Starting off with the attendance, we've got those who are present in the chamber before us. We move to 1.2, which is apologies, where we've got the Mayor Doherty is apologies for tonight's meeting. We have got everyone else in the chamber, so we can move from apologies to 1.3, not present. Moving on to item 2, confirmation of the minutes. We've got a recommendation before us to the floor. Councillor Alexander.
Yeah, thank you. I'm moving the recommendation. Thank you.
Happy to move it. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Small-Smith.
Seconded.
Happy to second it. We've got a motion before us, moved and seconded and put to the floor. Any discussion in relation to the motion before us? If no one has speak, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Moving to item 3, declarations of interest. Have we got any declarations of interest? Councillor Smiljan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Clint Marsh. I have a declaration of interest, a material declaration of interest for this meeting for agenda item 17.1, the strategic land purchase, on the basis of my employment circumstances, and I will leave the room in this decision making.
Thank you. Any other declarations of interest? If not, thank you, that's noted. Moving on to the Mayor's report. We've got, due to the Mayor's illness, the Mayor's report will be provided at the ordinary council meeting, so in October next one. Moving on to item 5, reports of representation of council and other organisations. Do we have any? I'll put it to the floor. If none, we will move on to item 6, information session record of attendance. If we have nothing on that one, that's just a note. Moving on to reports of representations for conference and training programs. Have we got any? No worries. Moving on to questions.
Excuse me.
Sorry, apologies, councillors.
That's right. You didn't look back. Look, I'd just like to thank the staff who put on the Northern Adelaide Job and Careers Expo, and if the CEO could give them our compliments. It seemed to go very well. Everybody, we had so many people there. I believe we had nearly 2,000 people there. We had lots of job providers, and they made available rooms so that people could sit mock interviews, and some of them had interviews where they could actually get a job. And we're just waiting to hear how many of those people that went for proper interviews actually got employed that day. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If there's not, we'll move on to questions on notice. We've got one for Councillor Smallwood-Smith. Moving on to one from Shirley Hall's upgrade of Jubilee, crash statistics in the city of Playford.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes, that's right.
Can I just thank the staff for finding out all that information and putting it on there? It is very helpful. It's not just a waste of time. I am really interested in all of that, and I will have some further things to say later in the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Halls. We then move on to... we'll just wait for the minute taker to catch up. Thank you. Now we've got item number 9, questions without notice. Have we got any questions without notice? Councillor Rentoulis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I've got a number of questions in relation to the Virginia Main Street project. And the first question is, what is the current status in relation to the engineering/construction expert report in resolution number 5659 regarding the Virginia Main Street upgrade? That's the first question.
No worries.
Through the Chair. So current status of the project. So practical completion was awarded in July 2024. So council staff are now maintaining the park. In regards to the specific question, a minor defects list for the main contract has been completed. The first inspection of the consultant has been completed. That inspection informed the defects list, so no major issues were identified. The consultant is now waiting on receipt of the final as constructed drawings, so they can review those before finalising the report for staff's review.
Excellent. Sorry, just bear with me. Okay, all right. So thanks for that. Now, given that there's going to be a final report, presumably, when will the final report be provided to Council?
Through the Chair, I can't provide a specific date at this moment in regards to the final report, unfortunately. It'll be depending on the as constructed drawings being provided to the consultant.
All right, thank you. Final question. You may not be able to answer this. Will the final report be made public?
Through the Chair, at this stage we haven't decided on how we're going to distribute the report. The report's intended to be, I guess the audience for the report is for council staff to review it. So that's something we'll have to consider and talk to the council about.
Thank you. Councillor Rentoulis, are you happy for those to be noted within the minutes? No problems. We move it. Have we got a seconder for that? Councillor Halls, happy to second it?
I will second that as long as my name is correctly spelt in the agenda item on Good Reader, please.
Good Reader.
Thank you.
All right, let's take that as a side note.
Page 4.
Page 4. No worries. Let's take that as a side note. Thank you for that, Councillor Halls. We've got a motion before us that that the questions without notice obviously are there for the record. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Moving to item number 10, 10.1, we have a petition before us, and we've got a staff recommendation that talks about the council receive and note the petition. I'll put that to the floor. Councillor Rentoulis.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to move the staff recommendation, and no need to talk to it. That's okay.
Thank you. We've got to move it. Councillor Vanderpeer.
Happy to second it. No need to speak.
No problems. Thank you for that. We've got a resolution put to the floor. Have we got any questions from anyone? If not, that no one spoke, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Okay, we've got a deputation here at item 11.1, deputation concerns about the granting of a gaming licence. We do have Tony Piccolo, who is the member for Light, who will be addressing the chamber. He will be online doing this presentation. There will be a little bit of flexibility during this as he doesn't have control of the slideshow presentation, but he will have the 5 minutes as everyone is entitled to, and I'll ask if there's any questions that they'll be directed to Tony Piccolo during this this deputation. There is some handouts, I believe that we have that we can provide our elected members with, and I'll allow staff to proceed with connecting Tony Piccolo to the chamber, and I'll speak to him soon. Hi Tony, it's Clint Marsh here. Just thought I'd test the connection. Is that coming through to you?
It is, yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Just thought I'd let you know currently we're just distributing some information to each of the elected members as we speak. Staff are aware that you will prompt them to go to the next slide to assist you with your presentation, and as you're very familiar with, you got your 5 minutes deputation, and then we'll open it to the councillors to ask some questions to you afterwards.
Okay, are you chairing the meeting too?
Yes, that is. Apologies, I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so all of the elected members have now got the handouts provided to them, Tony. I'm happy to allow you to start your presentation, the 5 minutes, and hand over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you to all elected members for the opportunity to address you tonight on this matter. If the council staff can actually turn the presentation to the first slide, where it says proposal.
Yep.
Okay, just summarising, the proposal is for food and beverage and licence of up to 40 electronic gaming machines. 25% of the space is allocated to gaming machines, and the only comment I would make there that if you were to compare this to a community facility, that 25% would be very high allocation to gaming machines compared to somewhere like the Central Districts Club, where the allocation of space to gaming machines is much smaller. It actually would be under 10%. It's located adjacent to the Manapara Town Centre, or the Playford Town Centre, opposite the Stretton Centre, and opposite to the community park. And that's really important, and I'll outline why in the various points I'll make a bit later, why that's important to know that. If you could turn to the next slide.
I can confirm we're on the next slide now.
Yep, gaming licences and net gaming revenue for the City of Playford. There are two figures there which I think are pretty important. Some figures are important. For example, in 2022-23, there are 360 gaming machines in the City of Playford already. There are 10 existing licences. And net gaming revenue is the amount of revenue the owners make after they've paid out the winnings. And in 2022-23, these are official figures, it was $51.869 million was made in profit by the owners of the gaming machines. This is gaming machines alone. And in 2023-24, same number of gaming machines, same number of licenses, net gaming revenue was $53.4 million. Important point to make there is in a year where things are really tough for families, actually gaming revenue has gone up, and that is very much a concern. And when you look at the figures, the net gaming revenue is much higher in lower income areas than other areas. If you compare this to Norwood, Walkerville areas, Burnside, the net gaming revenue is actually much higher in Playford than it is those areas. And gaming is more of a problem in lower income areas. If you turn to the next slide, please.
Can confirm that's been done.
Yep, thank you. Next slide just shows the location of the existing licences, and this is important for two reasons. One, it shows where all the existing licences are, and also where the Parkway Tavern is proposed. there are a number of existing licences which are in less than 5 minutes by car if somebody wants to game. So it's not as if those people are being denied the opportunity to game. But what the research does show is greater the access, the greater the risk of problem gambling. And so, okay, so we could turn the slide, please.
Yes, done.
Okay, what does the research show? Well, losses from gambling are much higher in lower income areas, and the figures, if you look at ABS figures, the Manapara area is 25% lower income under average than other areas. So this is an area which could be potentially hit hard by the introduction of 40 gaming machines in that area. Problem gambling is disproportionately higher in lower income areas. There's obviously problem gamblers throughout the whole state, but when you actually look at the data, it is clustered, very clearly clustered around lower income areas. And this is because people see these machines as hope, and they take high risks, unfortunately, causing quite a bit of damage to families.
Tony, just thought I'd let you know you've got 1 minute remaining, okay?
Okay, thanks. The rest of the problem, there's gaming machines concentration results in more problem gaming. Additional gaming machines will have a negative impact on existing businesses. Gaming machines are a poorer job creator than other forms of businesses. Problem gambling leads to lower levels of social capital in communities, and problem gambling leads to higher levels of domestic and family violence. And also, gambling venues located within near shopping centres and community facilities result in higher levels of problem gambling. And taking into account, Mark Oliphant College recently, its governing council resolved to oppose this application because it's concerned it would have in its students because they're part of this community. For this reason, I think the gaming licence should not be supported. Thank you.
Thank you for that. 6 seconds remaining. Appreciate that.
Wow.
Thank you. So we've had a deputation put before us. If you're happy to hang around there, Tony, I'm just going to put to the chamber if there's any questions from any of the councillors.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Craig.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wonder whether Mr. Piccolo might be afforded another minute or two just to elaborate a little further. I just feel like he was rushed a bit on that last, like I didn't really see the slide very clearly about the, if we could go back to that second to last slide. I don't think we had enough time to see that, to get that information, whether with the mood of the meeting, whether we could afford him another minute to just elaborate a little further.
No worries. Noting what you've just asked, I would ask if there would be someone who would like to second that for a period of time. Would there be a second?
I wasn't going to give him extra minute, but happy to second that.
Okay, so let's we've got let's just call it, we've got a motion put forward at the moment for 1 additional minute required, or we will provide to Tony if it is supported. So I'll put that to the chamber. Those in support, those against. Carried. Tony, we'll reset the clock for you, and if you'd like to finalise where you finished off on, you have 1 additional minute.
Okay, thank you very much. As I indicated a bit earlier, the Mark Oliphant College, which is the closest school to the area, they had the same catchment this proposed gaming machine licence would have, and they've expressed concerns about the impact these gaming machines would have, obviously, on their families, and then as a result on their students. One of the key points I'd like to make is that gaming machines are a poor job creator. In other words, and this is research undertaken by Mike O'Neill at the South Australian Centre for Economic Studies, is that they actually do create some jobs, of course, but the loss of income in other businesses means there's a loss of jobs. And in fact, in some areas, it's actually a net loss rather than net gain. So these gaming machines are not an economic benefit to that community.
15 seconds if you like.
I'm fine, thanks. I'm happy to answer any questions. Anybody got any questions? Might be easier.
Thank you. Cheers that. Okay, I'll put back to the chamber for questions for our local member, Tony Piccolo. Ever got any questions from the chamber? Councillor Reefy.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. couple of questions. Mr. Piccolo, you mentioned there are a number of gaming machine locations across Playford. Given that there are already over 350 gaming machines within the city of Playford, what difference would you think an extra 40 gaming machines would make?
Okay, the research is quite clear on this, is that the concentration of gaming machines is positively correlated with problem gambling. And so the more machines you have, the greater risk of having problem gambling is one aspect, and the other aspect is that in terms of job creation, more gaming machines is the less income for other businesses. People who gamble, putting aside the problem gamblers, people who gamble, it's a discretionary expenditure. So if they expend money on gaming machines, they're not using the local cafe, the local newsagent, the local butcher, and a whole range of other things. So the research is quite clear that more gaming machines, there's greater expenditure substitution for things which families do need. And that's why the more you have, the greater the problem.
Thank you. Councillor Kerrison.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Look, thank you, Tony, for coming forward, and there's some interesting statistics there. I think it's really important, you know, as a chamber and as elected members, we've got a voice for the community. So that's really important. My question to you, Tony, tonight is, do the residents have a voice, and is there a consultation period where the community has a voice?
Yes, the community have to actually know about it, first of all. The application was handled at a staff level, so there was, you know, there's no consultation, as I understand, by council. I understand the proponent has done what you might call market research, has done some market research. They can respond if they want to by the Tuesday, the 8th of October. You only get 21 days from when the application is advertised to actually respond to that. So I'm just making sure that people know about it and express their views. And it's like you said, I agree with you, it's important to have a voice, and hopefully the council will provide another layer of voice for them.
All right, well thank you, Tony. I think my question to you is how do you manage, I might be personally against pokies, but it's very important that our voice is aligned with the community. So if there's a community consultation and feedback period, how do we ensure our voice is in line with the community? And if the department's going to receive that voice, won't they already have the voice of the community? So what relevance is us to have our own form of opinion in this? I understand the college's got their voice, yes. But if the community is speaking in this process, what's the point of us putting an uninformed, right? Because right now, Tony, where I'm basing myself is I'm against pokies. But what's the community sentiment? And if there's going to be this voice and the community got their say, why should I be putting my voice over the top of the community?
Okay. Well, it's no different to any other issue which comes to council in the sense that there are a number of issues where the community can have their own say, but council as a whole also support that view by actually expressing an opinion as well. I think the council expressing a view would lend support to that community view and have quite a bit of weight.
All right, but we don't have that view. So my next question, Tony, is obviously this doesn't fall under a council decision. It falls under the state government department decision. What are you actually doing in your position to voice your concerns to the appropriate department?
Okay. Can I just, it's true that the decision will be made by either the Liquor Licensing Commissioner or the Liquor Licensing Court, depending how the applications are processed, and that's certainly an agency of government. What I'm doing as a local member, I'm making sure that people are aware of it. I'm also going to, based on the feedback I've received, lodging a submission to the Commission myself. But the council may wish to lodge a different submission to what I make. I mean, I'm here tonight just to put what I believe the potential dangers for the community are. The council may resolve something differently, and that's within your right. I don't think it's correct to say that council has no role. There are a number of issues which are state government issues where council expresses its opinion, quite rightly, on behalf of the community. This one here is no different.
Yeah, I agree. Mind you, the community's got a voice. I suppose the other thing that concerns me is the figures you present are really, really concerning. You know, City of Playford, we're a growth zone, we're open for business, and we're also looking for commercial development. My concern is under the state government's previous decisions, the model of hotels these days, I don't know many hotels which aren't supported by not having pokey revenue. So how do we enable hotels to be built to support the community without the support base of that? Because it's not going to be a level playing field. So my question, Tony, is then how do we enable people to go ahead and promote commercial development within Playford and it's not a level playing ground? And what is the state government doing behind the scenes to address the pokey issue? Because just stopping one new venue opening is not addressing the issue within our area. We have an emergency situation by the figures you've presented. So can you ask me what's being done to address this concern from the state government level?
Yeah, what I can say is, and I thank you for the question, and it's an important question. It's not within my power, unfortunately, to my personal view is I think there's a greater damage to the community than there's positives, but that's not a fight I'm going to win. However, to suggest that, and I'll answer your question in part because of elements to that question, it's an important question, is that we can do nothing and still just go ahead, but if you talk about commercial development, the research is quite clear. The more pokers you have less effective other small businesses. So they actually don't actually grow your economy at all. It is actually net loss to your economies. And so if you're looking for commercial businesses, I'll be looking at those things which don't have gaming machines and supporting those. And quite rightly, we need to, as a council and the government, to work together to promote those businesses which actually create net employment or net job creation. And I'd be happy to work with you on that.
Councillor Small-Smith.
Thank you very much. Tony, I have two questions for you, please.
Yep.
Number one, clearly this proposal will create employment, so why should we oppose it?
You're right, it will create some employment, but what it does do, and it's a very important point here, is that the job creator impact of gaming machine is lower than the job creator impact of other activities. And I'll give you an example. The jobs created by gaming machines might be, say $5 jobs per $1 million investment. If you invest $1 million in a butcher or some other activity, you get 7 or 8 jobs. So the important thing is, yes, it does create some jobs, but the impact it has, it actually reduces the impact of those businesses which create more jobs. And that's why it's actually it can be a negative to that particular community, given it's a low income area.
Thank you. My second question, are you opposed to the whole tavern project or just the gaming aspect?
Just the gaming aspect. Just the gaming aspect. I'd be keen to see the rest of the tavern go ahead, and be keen to see that. Could that be a good facility for that area?
Thank you, Councillor Kerrison.
Yeah, thank you. Look, thank you, Tony, again. What I'm keen to know is, obviously, you're far more over this than I am. Of recent times within South Australia, how many hotels have opened up without pokies and have had a successful business model?
Top of my head, I don't know that answer. What I do know in Gawler, there are some hotels which run without pokies, and they seem to do okay. They provide a different model of operating. So, look, let me put it this way. If I could answer your question, because I think your question you're making is a very important question. I asked the proponent, because I met with the proponents, I thought it was important to meet with the proponents, and they said their words to me was that the gaming component was a discrete small amount of the business model. And I said, so what you're saying is you're happy to go ahead without it then, because if it's a discrete amount, clearly your profits come from other bits of it, and this is just an additional bit. And they said no. So if I could be blunt, this is a gaming facility with a tavern next to it, because just the sheer size of it. You compare this to some other hotels in the city of Playford, and particularly the community clubs, where there's a greater community element and other aspects to those clubs. And I don't think this one reaches that standard.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Acting. Tony, are you aware of how much revenue the state government gains from gambling?
Yes, sadly I do. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's relevant to this bit of proposal, though.
Well, I think it's a great percentage of the government's revenue, I think. But the thing that is confusing me is that I've heard a couple of things throughout the community suggesting that it was the city of Playford that has given this land to the tavern. Is it not a fact that the state government actually sold this land to the tavern?
It's not sold yet. It's under contract, and you're quite right. People have told me, and I've had a number of discussions said it's state government land. Or it's Renew SA, but it's state government for intents and purposes. Yeah. It is renewable land. That's correct.
So it is in fact the state government that's doing the lease with the tavern, and not the city of Playford.
Sorry, again. Sorry, repeat that, please.
I said, so it is a fact that it is the state government that is doing the deal with the tavern and not the city of Playford.
That's correct. I've not said anywhere else differently.
Councillor Kerrison.
Yeah. Tony, another question. Obviously, you know, since coming to City Playford and working a lot of things, when City Playford's in control of a piece of land, we've got some control in the outcomes. And since I've come to this chamber, we've had a very mindful view of being in control of where our land goes and what happens. So did the state government have any concerns or any stipulations on when that land was sold, on what was going to be proposed on that land, that it had the opportunity to do so at the time, or did it just openly sell the land and allow it to follow a process? Because I think this is a failing of the state government if that's the process.
I don't know the inner workings, and I don't have the documents to what Renew SA were thinking. I have raised the same very question. It's a valid question because I raised the very same question. I said, why on the one hand are we making land available for a use which I think, in my opinion, is probably a net negative, and making it available. And then you have another government agency like Human Services, which has to provide support for families who are problem gamblers. And the answer I got, which I don't accept, was that Renew SA's charter is to sell land, which is, in my view, not satisfactory, and I have to agree with you.
Councillor Onizan.
Thank you, Presiding Member. And thank you, Tony, for your presentation. I'd like to pick up from one of the bullet points from slide 4.
Yep, okay. Yes, I've got it in front of me.
Passed by the Mark Oliphant College Governing Council.
Yes, I've got that, yes.
Where's the slide 4?
You're talking about Mark Oliphant College Governing Council?
Slide 4, with the Mark Oliphant.
Yes, I've got that in front of me.
Governance Council. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So the third point, it says they're requesting the city of Playford oppose any application. So my question is, what are the chances of success for the city of Playford in opposing the granting of a gaming license for gaming machines at the proposed parking tavern? Yep. And are there other departments that could affect the opposition to the application? I don't know, it might not be necessarily you answering that question. Maybe the staff could maybe clarify a bit more on that matter.
Yeah, we'll direct that question at Tony Piccolo if we can. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. You directed to me?
Yeah, we can hear you, yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. In terms of the short answer is I don't know, because there was a new criteria brought into the Act recently, and only one application is under consideration at the moment under the new criteria. They have to do a community impact statement. Actually, under the new rules, a proponent has to prove that it's a net benefit to the community. And the only application which is being considered is actually in the liquor licensing court as we speak. That application will be determined, will be heard in November, and so I don't have any other matters to say, well, this is how the Commissioner or the court will interpret these new rules. Well, what I can say is that if there is a series of concerns expressed by the community, by myself, other players, and the council, the Commissioner is more likely to hold a formal inquiry into it, which means it goes into a much more deeper process of investigation, and would also open up to other players, like the documentation I've provided you from United Communities, Anglicare, etc., to make submissions as well to that inquiry. So my guess is the more we speak out, the greater chance of the licence not being granted, but there's no guarantee.
Thank you, Tony.
Yep.
Councillor Vanderveer.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Tony, for the presentation. Just for the record, I'm wondering if you were consulted upon the sale of the land by Renewal SA.
No, I wasn't. And I wasn't consulted when the application was submitted to the council and approved by council. I wasn't consulted then on neither. So I found out, because I'm a member of the governing council, Mark Oliphant College Governing Council, and the proponents wrote to them because they were trying to garner support for the application, and that's when it was alerted to me. Or else I wouldn't have been aware, and a lot of people in the community wouldn't have been aware of it either. And there's certainly a flaw in the process at the moment, I think, in my view.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. So it seems like you weren't involved in the sale of the land, so I don't think it's really fair to blame you for that process. And I can see you're now coming in trying to make the best of the process we do have. So how were you made aware of the community's opposition to the proposal?
It was raised on the governing council. The governing council is made up of mainly parents and people who live in the community. I also raised it at a street corner meeting, and people expressed their concerns about potential. They weren't concerned about the food and alcohol. They were only concerned about the gaming machines, like myself. And I've actually held street corner meetings. So. Social media, I've done some social posts, and people for some reason think I'm pro-gaming from my social posts. I'm not sure how they get that impression, but they did, and been quite critical of me. So there's certainly the opinions I've seen expressed in the community have been quite strongly opposed to this application for the gaming licence.
Councillor Kerrison.
Yeah, once again, thank you, Tony. Look, I appreciate you coming forward, and I would just like to point out, since your Facebook post, I've personally received three emails, 2 in support of being against it and 1 in support. But I kind of feel, and I'd ask your agreement on this, at this point in time, based upon that limited feedback, I'm not sure that it's a sound bit of information to be basing our decision upon. Would you support that?
Oh yes, I agree. I mean, you wouldn't make a decision based on one just piece of information. You would gather information for a whole range of areas. Like I've now done, read pages and pages of research taken both in South Australia by the Centre of Economic Studies, research done by the various NGOs like United Communities, Anglicare, Relation to Australia. Those documents are attached to the submission which I've put to council. So I am gathering information and data and opinions from a broad range of people. Yeah, and you're quite right. You just cannot pick one bit of information and make a decision. It'd be wise to look at a whole range of broad ranges of information sources and make an opinion based on that.
Councillor
And I'll
Norris.
also ask that the council, if they were going to make it, express an opinion, do so within the time period allowed.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Norris.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick questions. So the first one would be, do you honestly believe that declining one venue will decrease gaming profits? 2023 article suggests that even though there were 500 less machines, there was still a staggering $831 million loss to the pokies, which was actually an increase on the years prior. And it seems to be increasing despite the fact that we're going backwards with pokie machines. Like we're getting less and less. So I guess to you, what is your perception on obviously this one venue, and then I guess you're trying to say that that'll help to decrease gambling, but it might actually increase aggressive behaviour because there's less.
No, I'm not suggesting one. If you oppose this application, you'll actually reduce gambling. You won't. It's true though. If you support the application or allow it to go through, you certainly will make the situation worse. So there's an important distinction to make there. My understanding is that, and I've looked at the figures recently, is that there's a cap on gaming machines, but they're not reducing. And in fact, there are a number of licenses, what you might call on the shelf, which are part of that cap, which can be brought into existence. And I think that's what's happening here. So unfortunately, there's a cap, not a reduction in licenses, and that's why we have an increasing problem with the net gaming revenue. And the figures which I showed you on the earlier slide, even though there were only 10 premises, the exactly same number of licenses between financial year 23 and financial year 24 just gone, that the actual net gaming revenue went up. So it is an increasing problem, and the research is quite unequivocal. The more machines you have, the more net gaming revenue, and the greater loss to the community.
Okay, thank you. I do have another question. So are you aware that there are...
Sorry, you have to wait a second. I'm in Parliament House and the bells are ringing.
That's all right. We can hold off. We can hold off. We'll wait.
Yeah, they go for 3 to 5 minutes.
Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, keep going through.
All right. So Tony, my question to you was: are you aware that there are a number? No, still going. All right. Give me a moment.
I do apologise for this.
Just while the bells are going, we'll give it a minute just to see how it goes. If it is the time frame of some 5 minutes, we may have to proceed to the next agenda item.
If you'd like to do something else for 5 minutes and come back to me, that's fine. I'm happy to sit here and do that.
Yeah, we'd have to, part of the procedure is we'd have to move on to the next agenda item.
Thank you.
So I'd like to just thank Tony Piccolo for his deputation to us via online streaming. I'm guessing there's an opportunity for elected members to take your questions that you may have not had the opportunity tonight to do so directly with Tony Piccolo. Thank you again, and thanks for live streaming with us, Tony. All right, wait. Okay. Yep, happy to. You can. All right, moving forward on to item 12, which is motion on notice. We have got nil motions on notice. Moving on to 13, which is motions without notice. Okay, so we're just putting forward motions without notice. Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you very much. May I please ask a question of the CEO? When does the public consultation period finish?
Through you, Mr Presiding Member, I believe it's the 8th of October, Councillor Smith.
Well, I would like to move that the motion that I've got up there be deferred until the October meeting, which is after the consultation period. Can I do that?
Through the presiding member, Councillor Smith, you haven't moved anything yet, so given that you haven't moved anything, you don't need to. If you don't move anything, we don't need to debate anything. If you want to raise it at a subsequent meeting, you could do that.
Right. You don't want to defer it? Okay, I'm being told by my co-councillor she doesn't want to defer it, so I guess I'll put the motion, if I may.
You want to put the motion? Yeah, we'll proceed with the motion without notice.
Okay.
We'll get that up. We'll just get it on the screen. Help. There we go.
Okay. I will speak to it. Just about everything that Tony said I was going to just say to the chamber, so I'll cut to the chase. You've all heard it, about the number of problems caused with gaming machines in the area. And I know there's 9 other venues that have poker machines, and I remember a debate a few years ago where I actually spoke and said that people are adults and they make up their own mind whether they play a poker machine or not. But I've seen so much devastation in the area of Playford where people are struggling because their money's going into the poker machines. The other thing is that the reason that I'm concerned about this particular tavern is not per se for the tavern, it is for the gaming machines. It's in between a community building which has a skate park and also has a community area and a shopping centre, and there's a lot of vulnerable people living in around that area, and my concern is that they may go over to do their shopping, suddenly decide to go and put a few dollars through the pokies, and before you know it, their shopping money's gone. So I'm concerned about the vulnerability of the people in that area having access to the gaming machines. I'd like to see the tavern there. I know people have been crying out for it, and it was supposed to go in years ago, but it never did. So all the things that Tony's mentioned, I did have down here about the additional gaming machines have an impact on businesses, and gambling venues located within or near shopping centres and community facilities result in higher levels of problem gambling. As I said before, I understand that adults make their own mind, and I know why Mark Oliphant College are concerned. There's a lot of students there who are 18, so they would be able to go into that venue, and that's a problem as well. Though, as I said, I'm to be just repeating everything Tony said, but I just want to make the chamber concerned that I have had people, the community reference group, I've had a number of those people, the old community reference group, come and speak to me, and apparently when it was first put forward a number of years ago, they actually voted against it as well. So there's more angst than people think about it. People who talk to me at the shopping centres have expressed their concern, and the concern is the people who live at the bottom of that block. They haven't been consulted yet, and the mere fact that we've got children just across the road, and I believe the front door's actually open onto that road. So I move that you all agree with that. I probably won't get carried, but I am concerned that it could cause a real problem for the people in my ward. Thank you.
Can I just ask you? Yep. Councillor Callison.
Thank you. Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I would like to support and second this motion. I think most of it has been summed up well by Tony and Gay, but I think while we're in a position to oppose the licence, we should try. The community have expressed an opinion, and I think we should listen. The venues close to residential properties and a school have expressed their concern, and as elected members, we should listen to that concern. The evidence is there. 40% of gambling revenue comes from those living with an addiction, and the net gaming revenue for 2023-24 financial year, the existing 10 licensed premises within the City of Playford is over 53 million, and there are already 360 gaming machines in the council area. We need to acknowledge that we live in that we are a low socioeconomic council, where problem gambling is disproportionately higher. I don't think there's a need to go on and repeat what's already been said by Tony and Gay. I just hope that this chamber realises that we're in a position to ease a burden on this community, and I hope that everyone takes the vote seriously.
Thank you. So we've got a mover and a seconder that's put a council resolution before us. I'll now put that to the floor for further discussion. Councillor Craig.
Yeah, I certainly endorse the views that have been put by members. I think it's just so plain obvious, isn't it, really, the dangers of such things. Just as an aside, it would be good if the Chamber could be informed of any such future developments so that we're not got, days left before we can at least have a say about such things, or because I think any pokies in Playford should be opposed from here on.
Councillor Norris.
Thank you. I'll basically just say now what I was going to say before to Tony, but so I just wanted to make people aware that there are quite a number of local pubs around the area that actually take their pokey profits and put them back into community and sports clubs. And it is a lot of money that goes back to these clubs. So without them, we may not have these sports clubs. They may fold. Essentially, it is a lifeline for them. As per pretty much everyone around this table, I don't play pokies myself. I don't support them, but I understand that people do use them. It's much the same as I still have a concern that we're focusing so hard on the pokies and the pokey revenue at the moment, but don't seem to have an issue with the liquor licence or, the antisocial behaviour that comes from that. So, I'm just confused that there's a two-pronged approach here because, you might say, yes, it's next to a playground or it's near a school, but generally people that play the pokies are fine, they're quiet and they do their thing. People that drink tend to be unruly, and that's where you get more violent behaviour. I did mention before that obviously there's been an increase in gambling revenue, even though there's less machines, and I guess my concern is that, no matter what we do in terms of how many pokie machines we have, they're still going to find a way to spend their money, and it has been an initiative of the state government to allow those pokie machines to take notes now instead of the coins that they used to have, so people are essentially running through their money quicker than they ever were. My other concern is obviously that community consultation has not closed. The majority of people I've spoken to, even way before this became an issue, was that they really wanted something down that end of town because there is nothing there. Between the Angervale Tavern and Smithfield, there is absolutely nothing. Taking away, I guess, the gambling licence, are they still going to create a venue that just has food and drink? Maybe, maybe not. Again, we could be scaring away more commercial investment. Therefore, there goes to more jobs again as well. We don't like everything that comes in here. We don't utilise everything that comes into here commercially, but, there is still a use and a need for these things.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mr Deputy. Look, it's a very emotive issue and I do appreciate it. There's nobody dislikes poker machines more than I do. However, it's not just the issue of poker machines, is it? I mean, if you look up the road in Mr Piccolo's own area, we have a multi-million-dollar gambling effort called horse racing. And there's dog racing, there's online racing and all of that. And if you're a gambler, you will use all of those things. But I'd just like to correct something that Mr Piccolo said. He said that the deputation came to council. It did not. Because of the changes to the State Planning Act, council is not involved whatsoever in these applications anymore. It didn't come to council and it didn't come to CAP. So accordingly, council as such were not permitted under the State Planning Act to advertise the development proposal. Again, that is something under the State Planning Act that is created by change. The state government has sold the land to the developer, which is it's not in a shopping zone, it's in an activity centre zone. And that application that did come to council, which was acted upon under delegation, did not include the gaming and liquor licence. That has now been lodged as a separate effort, and the consultation period ends on the 8th of October. And I think local government is only entitled to comment and has no power or authority over these developments or the decisions. And I honestly feel that it's premature to take any position until the community consultation is complete and that we can take a far more informed choice and we actually will know what the community wants. Despite people saying for and against, we will actually find that out after the 8th of October. So I think we're very premature and should not go ahead with this.
Councillor Kerrison.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Look, I support Councillor Norris. What she said is very true in my opinion, and Councillor Baker as well. I think we need a holistic approach. I don't think this is a council decision, it's a state government decision. This is not something that only affects Playford, it affects the whole state. And I think we need to advocate to the state government to have a holistic approach. If we just now start targeting individual premises on future development, that's not a level playing ground, it's not fair. If the gaming machines are a problem, we need to roll back these on a state level and address it on a state across the board. Who are we to decide that hotel development can't have pokies? All right, so the community's got their opportunity to have their say. Let them have their say and let the government, the department, do their job and assess it on the community feedback. I am against pokie machines. I don't know who in their right mind, in my personal opinion, will play a pokie machine. It's planned. The house always wins, and the more you play, the more you lose. All right. I understand. I know some very smart people, business people, who've gone and they'll put $100, $500 a machine. It's their time out. They go in prepared to lose the money. All right. Gambling is an issue to our community. I understand. People get addicted. But this is a state issue that needs to be managed on a state level across the whole state. All right, so I think it's something we should stay out of. Councillor Craig moved a motion, all right, recently regarding drag queens reading in our community facilities. I was dead against that. I do not believe drag queens should be reading to our young and vulnerable children, all right? However, there's a lot of complicating issues there, and I also believe that issue was something that should be addressed on a state level, all right? And there's also other things that were a problem there about individual freedoms, all right? If we stop drag queens going to our facilities, are we going to stop Christians being able to access our facilities? Where's our religious freedoms? Are we going to stop Muslims coming to our facilities? There's a whole range of issues that there. So I voted, even though I was dead against drag queens reading our facilities, and since that time the community's come back and I've had a lot of feedback to support Councillor Craig's point of view, all right? So right at this point in time, we're now about to vote on something that we don't have the community feedback. We'll get that afterwards, all right? But the difference with this is the community has a say in this consultation process, all right? Why should we be putting our opinion? Let the community have their opinion, let them have their say. You know, Mr. Piccolo said about gathering information and making an informed decision. Honestly, how many of us can really say we can make an informed decision tonight? I think you're kidding yourselves if you say yes. All right. So anyway, everyone's it's up to everyone individually. As I say, there's only 2 people supported. There's Councillor Craig and one other person supported that motion. We all voted against that, and if we vote for this tonight, I think it's very conflicting. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Councillor Rentallis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I've just got a couple of questions. I don't know if Mr. Green can answer them. I understand that the closing date for public consultation for submissions is the 8th of October. I wonder whether there would be any scope for the council to make a submission after that date. So, for example, if we deferred this particular motion until the ordinary council meeting on October, so that we can actually have a look at consider the submissions made by the public, so we can actually make an informed decision. I agree with Councillor Kerrison. At the moment, it does feel like we're sort of operating in the dark. It's kind of been sort of sprung on us, and I would like to actually listen to the community a bit more.
Through the presiding member, I think the short answer, Councillor Rentallis, is no. It's a heavily legislated process. It's designed to give everybody the same playing field with respect to giving feedback, and the reason that we wouldn't be privy to the feedback that's provided is we're not the decision maker. So it's, you know, in an instance where we are the decision maker, we gather all that information together before we make a decision. That's what will happen in this instance. It's just we're not the decision maker. I think it's highly unlikely that the legislative process would be amended to enable us to put in a late representation.
It does make it really difficult to make an informed decision when you don't really know whether the community stands on it. Granted, I I concede, from what Mr. Piccolo explained to us tonight, there are people that have come to him, have complained. The local college, he said he was at a couple of street corner meetings. He had some residents, but I would like to actually get a bit more information in relation to this before making a decision. It makes it a bit hard, doesn't it? If you're saying legislatively we've got no choice, there wouldn't be any point in deferring it, is what you're saying. That's your belief.
Well, I think quite simply, if you defer this beyond the 8th of October, I believe we'll lose our rights to intervene or to comment on the matter.
All right.
In the same way that when we put stipulations on timeframes for people in our processes, we don't grant extensions usually either, particularly where it's a legislative process.
Yeah. Look, it's like me personally, I agree. I don't like pokies. I don't think they serve any good purpose at all. But as Councillor Norris said, if we now go down this path, why not also take issue with the liquor licence? Because there is a lot more harm caused to the community as a result of the scourge of alcohol in terms of overconsumption. I guess that's my concern with this. I don't disagree with the intent of the motion. I certainly applaud Mr. Piccolo for representing his constituents. He's one of the members of the governing council of Mark Oliphant College, and he's just listening to the people that are on that board, and I respect that. I guess what he did say, I did note this, and it's unfortunate that I think we've lost him. I can't sort of follow up with this question. I admire and respect the fact that he said that he met with the proponents of this hotel, and I think he said, I did make notes of this. He said that they told him that the pokies represent a discrete, small amount of the revenue. I think that's what he said. I could be wrong. Which does surprise me, to be honest. But in any event, I guess what I'm concerned about is if this council now gets involved in this process, I don't want us to be responsible for hurting a business trying to come into this community and do some good as well, because it's not all bad. We have to admit that. As Councillor Norris said, a lot of the earnings, the revenue from pokies is also used for good things in terms of rechanneling that back into the community and helping the local sports club, for example. So I'll have to continue to listen to the debate, but yeah, it's a tough one, particularly that this has now been brought on us at short notice. Thank you.
Councillor Laws.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Mr. Piccolo mentioned that the contract was not yet completed by Parkway and Playford Alive. I wondered if that meant that the purchase of the land is contingent on him getting the pokies licence. Do we know or have any way of finding out?
That's a good question.
Thanks for the question. I can't speak to the particulars of the contract between Saturno Group and Renewal SA, but yes, to date they still do not own the land and it's still owned by the Urban Renewal Authority. I could only suggest that it would be a condition of their contract.
Thank you. So I just mentioned that I do have concerns about this being in a place where there are children present. We have a library at the Stratton Centre, as well as the skate park and the park. So I'm very concerned about this. And from what the CEO is saying, that means that after the 8th of October, we can't even have a say because it will be closed to everybody. So it's very, needs lots of consideration.
Councillor Kerrison got a question?
I do have a question.
Thank you.
my understanding is that the planning consent has been granted, and my question is, surely the planning, even though it's a separate process for the licensing approval, the planning consent would have been granted with the knowledge of the requirement for a gambling licence?
Thanks for the question. Absolutely. It's acknowledged that through a planning consent there is a separate consent required for licensing through the state government. Our assessment under the Planning and Design Code of the planning consent can't consider the particulars of the licence.
Councillor Craig, got a question?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Can I confirm that the community consultation that they're running is really their process, it's their domain, and we basically as a council may not get to receive what that information is in order to be able to actually make any further comment or propose, put a position?
That's correct. It's the engagement of the Consumer and Business Services.
Yeah. So it seems to me, if I could ask this question, if we don't move this motion tonight, we basically miss the window of making any comment, or because the deadline's going to expire and we're not going to have any opportunity to put any concern forward. Is that the case?
Through the presiding member, Councillor Craig, if the council wanted to make a comment one way or the other on this application, and you didn't determine a position tonight, we'd have to have a special council meeting prior to the 8th. In simple terms, it's the only way to get a council position formally before the consultation period closes.
Thank you.
Councillor Vanderveer.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to make a couple of comments because I don't think it was raised today either by Tony or by elected members. And I know there's the issue of the socio-economic status of the community in which this proposal will take place. But I think there's also a cultural lens that needs to be placed on this discussion. And I know a lot of people in the area are from a culturally or linguistically diverse background. And, the research doesn't necessarily say that these people have a higher likelihood of gambling, but they do have a higher likelihood of developing an addiction if they were to gamble, because there's things like stigma when seeking support. Gambling is even encouraged in other cultures, and there's just not that support around them. So I think on that alone, this proposal really concerns me, not to mention the other points that have been raised. And I think tonight's debate has been really insightful. I think everyone's arguments have been really well put together, and I appreciate that we're able to have this honest discussion. I do want to comment on whether the council has a role in this, because it is a state government issue, and I agree with that, that's a fact. But there's a process, a state government process, where, community stakeholders and communities are consulted. That's the whole point of this debate. It's not whether the process is a state government or local government thing. It's the fact that we have an opportunity to have a say. And we of all organisations should be the most connected to our community, and we should be advocating for their best interests. And I just don't think this proposal is in their best interest. There are a couple of other points I wanted to make about this being a last minute thing, and I understand the deputation is a last minute thing. But I, and I'm sure all elected members, received an email about this weeks ago. So we've all known about this. We could have got, the community's views before coming to this meeting. I know I did my research. So, I don't really think that's an excuse not to say anything at all. We have had the chance behind the scenes to get, to inform ourselves on this matter. I also just wanted to talk about the argument that there are already pokies in Playford. Yeah, that's true, but the location of this development is very strategic and is very close to houses, and it would mean for a lot of people that the pokies would be in walking distance, which means you also could have a few drinks while you're there and not worry about getting home. and that sort of concerns me as well. Finally, I didn't really want to go here, but something one of the elected members said tonight was that we shouldn't be making decisions without informing the community. I can think of several decisions that have been made by this council without notice that have impacted people's lives. One of those being the decision regarding the acknowledgement to country. That came up without notice. We didn't consult with the community, and that has a direct impact on some people's lives. So I just don't personally agree with that argument, and I just wanted to raise that. So thank you.
Councillor Baker, you got a question?
Yes, please, Mr Deputy. Through you to Mr Dineen, I understand that the liquor and gambling licence was only lodged a couple of days ago, if I'm not mistaken? 2 or 3 days ago?
The 17th of this month, last week.
17, so that was just under a week ago. Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but should the community submissions by the 8th of October create a big enough issue, is there not an opportunity when the decision's made on the 16th to take it to court? And that's when the opportunity will be given to council and anybody else that can put a further submission in.
On the 16th, which is the Commissioner's determination, the Commissioner can make a number of decisions as to the pathway they seek to take. One could be to refer it to the court. One could be to acknowledge the submissions and determine the application. Another could be,
but there is another opportunity should the occasion arise.
We wouldn't be given a second opportunity to put a submission into that process.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Smiljani.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Thank you everyone so much for your conversation. It's been quite interesting to hear the debates going on. So I guess my understanding, and from what I've heard tonight and from Mr Piccolo's conversation, I look at this and go, we do have a voice and we do have a say from the City of Playford as a council to push this up to the Liquor and Gaming Licensing Commissioner. I think in my personal opinion, I'm still trying to work out, do we have all the information? And that's where I'm really unsure that we've got given all the information. In my humble opinion, with regards to poker machines, it's not something I enjoy doing. However, I don't represent everyone in this council. I am a councillor, yes, but I haven't heard anything from the community with regards to this yet. So I guess my concern here is, if we do, let's say this does carry, what precedence does this set for future hotels coming into the City of Playford? Are we expecting that every hotel that does come into our local area, that it comes through this particular meeting and that we have this say every time? My concern is that if this does get carried, I feel like, is there concern from our other hotels in the local area that they may go, or they may change or feel unsupported with regards to their licensing at their hotel? So I think this one particular hotel, in my personal opinion, I look at it and go, it is a broader state government issue, and I would personally prefer to keep it in their decision making, and I guess not to continue to have that precedence moving forward and affecting that commercial business in Playford moving forward. So in my current state, I'll continue to reach out, but I won't be supporting this.
All right, we've had a lengthy debate on that one. We ask Councillor Smallsmith if you'd like to close.
Yes, I certainly do. Thank you. 32 years ago, I was elected to council to represent and listen to my residents, and that's what I've done. The opportunity to bring that forward tonight was taken because we wanted to try and do something before it got to the stage where we couldn't do anything. And that is why I've moved that motion. To me, it's a conscience vote. I don't imagine this is going to get up, but at least I have tried to do something for my residents. And that's what this is all about. If I have to come back after the 8th of October, is it? November? October. When is it? I can't even remember what day it is anymore. I will come back and fight for my residents. There are so many people who didn't find out about it, and thanks to Councillor Onyazan asking the question, we found out that there was even going to be a hotel there. We knew nothing about it. There was no consultation about, oh, how do you think it's going to be here? Nothing at all. So now the residents are fighting, and we have to listen to our residents. It is up to us to try and help the areas, the low socio-economic areas where all the money is going to come from for these poker machines. And that worries me, that little children are going to miss out and older people are going to spend all their money. As I say, it's a conscience vote. It's entirely up to the chamber. Thank you. Oh yeah, pretend.
Okay, thank you. I will. We've got the council resolution before us. I'll put that to the floor. Those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll call that carried. We have a division called by Councillor Arifi, and I'll ask those who have voted in favour to please rise. Thank you. What have we got? 1, 2. All right.
Mr. Acting Mayor, I think that looked like that wasn't quite accurate.
Yeah, Zara should be in favour. Is that correct? Councillor, yep. Bayani would be 4. It'd be 8-6. Thank you for that pickup. We'll just wait for the minute taker to. And we can call that carried. All right, so we'll move on to item 14, which is the committee reports. Moving to, which is 14.1, request for service policy and procedure on page 22 of our document. We have a committee recommendation before us. I'll put that to the floor. Councillor Smith-Janning.
I would like to move the committee recommendation, and I would just like to ask a question once it's been seconded.
You can ask the question now if you like.
Now. Yep. I note that you have annotated saying minor amendments to this document. I was wondering if a minor amendment would include adding snap, send, solve as making a request for service on the request for service procedure on page 31 of the entire document.
So on page 31, you're asking for an insertion of some wording?
Yeah, to add the app snap, send, solve.
And what dot point would that be under 4.2.1? 4.2.1.
So in case those people not wondering, the app Snap Send Solve is another way of people not only who may not be familiar around this area, where they can literally get their mobile, take a photo of the issue and upload it to the Snap Send Solve app, and then that is distributed not necessarily only to the City of Playford, but it could be the electric company Power SA network, for example, and it might go to them as well. So I just thought by adding this Snap Send Solve to be able to request for service for our community to be documented in there, to perhaps be included to be in a one package bundle. Yeah.
Through the presiding member, thank you for the question. Yes, we'd be happy to include that, as we do currently receive customer requests through that application, although it's not controlled by council, it's a local government application, but we're happy to include that as part of the procedure.
That would be great. And would that be under minor amendment rather than an addition?
I'll perhaps take that one, Councillor Smiljani. I would just add it in. I mean, this is the right time to add it into the motion. You're moving it, so I'd suggest you add it as a third dot point under number 1. That's included.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to make an amendment to add something on the lines of adding Snap Send Solve as under procedure 4.2.1. To add Snap Send Solve as a way to request for service or something on the lines of that. Can I leave that up to your team there?
Yeah, leave it. We'll have a quick talk, all right?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It is honestly a camera, and so you could go to Port Anfield or Adelaide Anfield or go to any council, and if you don't know the council that you're in, it picks up your location. I didn't actually think. How did you find it? How do I find Snap Send Solve?
Picture of a pothole or something.
Picture of a pothole. You do location, and it goes to a distribution centre, and then it gets distributed wherever it needs to go. It's amazing.
What's that up under?
Snap Send.
No, what's that up under? Who's controlling it?
Local government.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I didn't think. It's fantastic.
Does it provide serious number or not? Can you follow up?
All right, thank you for that, and thanks, staff, for the assistance. Are you happy with the council resolution that is before us as the mover?
That's perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Have we got a seconder for that one? If you don't mind. Councillor Kerrison.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I'm happy to second that, and I think that's a very worthy addition, so well done. Thank you.
All right, we've got a council resolution that's been moved and seconded. I'll put it to the floor for any questions or debate. I'll take that no one has spoken. We can put that. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. All right, moving to item 14.2, which is the media policy and procedure. On page 43, we've got a committee recommendation before us. Councillor Smiljani.
Happy to move the committee recommendation.
Would you like to speak at all? If not, we've got a seconder.
Second.
Councillor Baker, happy to second the committee recommendation before us. I'll put that recommendation to the floor for any debating. Silence. We will take that. I'll put that for Councillor Smith-Janet. Would you like to close off?
Yeah, I just want to close off and just say great work to the team for updating this media policy. It was something that it definitely overviews what the media is to do, and then into the procedure it sort of breaks down what we do as a council, not only as, and it breaks down the positions, which is really interesting as well. So well done to the team, and yeah, great job.
Thank you. So we've got a council resolution put before us. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Okay, moving to item 14.3 on page 63. We've got a committee recommendation before us. I'll put that to the floor. Councillor Norris.
Yep, happy to support the committee recommendation, and think it's always good for us to have additional training no matter how long we've been in council.
Thank you. Councillor Halls.
I second the motion.
Thank you. I will put that resolution to the floor if there's any discussion. There isn't. If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. All right, moving to item 15.1, budget update. Oh, apologies, 14.4. No. I jumped right there, didn't I? 14.4, the Public Health Plan Implementation Report on page 75. Councillor
Move the committee recommendation. Don't wish to speak, thank
you. Don't wish to speak. Have we got a seconder for that one? Councillor Halls?
Yes, I move it.
Would you like to speak at all?
No, I think that it's very well written, and it says a lot for our community.
Thank you. So we've got a resolution on the table there. Is there any discussion from any elected members? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Now we shall move to item 15.1, budget update report on page 130 of our page. We've got a staff recommendation put forward. Councillor Baker.
Move the recommendation.
Happy to move it. We've got seconder, Councillor Reefy.
Yes, happy to second that. I just wanted to double check with staff just to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. Our actual borrowings at 31st of August 2024 were 71 million. That's a pretty good effort, because given that in June it was about sitting on just over 90 million. I think we've done pretty well to get to that mark. So maybe if CEO could provide some commentary on how we've got to that stage.
Thank you, Councillor Reefy. It's always good to celebrate these things, but it's a little bit of a falsehood. It's a true number, but what happened was, I think what the federal government attempted to do was to give us another prepayment of our financial assistance grant. It just didn't make it into our bank account in last financial year, which means we got a big whack of money at the beginning of this financial year, which enabled us to pay down some debt. In fact, we paid down so much debt that we actually had some money left over to invest, which we rarely do. So that's the reason. So you will see the debt increase again, just as we make our way through the year, because we won't be getting so much. That income's normally spread out via quarters, and we got a big whack of it up front. So that's the reason why.
Okay, we've got a council resolution put to the floor. Any other further discussions from anyone? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Moving to item 16, informal discussion is nil. Item 17, we've got staff reports. 17.1, strategic land purchase. We'll just wait. Okay, we've got a staff recommendation that is before us, with obviously a list of staff that will need to not be present. Is there a move? Councillor Smallseed.
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the staff recommendation? Councillor Halls.
Yes, I'll second it.
Thank you. Now there's no discussion. All right, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. And I'll ask the staff who are to be present to be present.
Did you know your food scraps should go in the green bin or a home compost system? It's better for the environment. It's the right thing to do. And it's easy. Fight food waste by putting all your food scraps, peels and leftovers in the green bin. To find out more, visit playford.sa.gov.au/fightfoodwaste.
Want to know what's happening in the community? Subscribe to our e-newsletter, Playford News, at playford.sa.gov.au, and you'll be on top of stories, news and what's happening in Playford. It's local news for local people.
Want to get involved in your community? There are so many benefits in becoming a volunteer at City of Playford, including meeting new people, developing new skills, sharing your talents, improving your employability, as well as enhancing your own mental health and well-being.
If you want to learn more about how to volunteer with us, visit playford.sa.gov.au/volunteers. Feedback about our city's future from our community is really important. It helps us prioritise your needs when planning services, projects and other initiatives.
A convenient way to have your say and stay in the loop on any upcoming consultations is by registering your details on our Engagement Hub website at playford.engagementhub.com.au.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Have you visited the Stretton Centre on Peachy Road, Manapara? Designed to support growth in the City of Playford, the centre offers dedicated workspaces from less than $10 per day. There's also state-of-the-art event and meeting spaces for hire, a complimentary business support service to help you upskill, apply for grants and grow, workshops and networking, as well as training for young kids right through to adults. Plus, the City of Playford Library.
Contact our team for a tour on 8254 4666 or visit the Stretton Centre at 307 Peachy Road, Manapara.
Support your local theatre and arts industry and enjoy a show at the Shedley. Playford's iconic Shedley Theatre is bringing a great selection of local and national performances to Elizabeth.
For more information on their upcoming shows, visit theshedley.com.au or call 8256 0500.
Did you know your food scraps should go in the green bin or a home compost system? It's better for the environment. It's the right thing to do. And it's easy. Fight food waste by putting all your food scraps, peels and leftovers in the green bin. To find out more, visit playford.sa.gov.au/fightfoodwaste.
Want to know what's happening in the community? Subscribe to our e-newsletter, Playford News, at playford.sa.gov.au, and you'll be on top of stories, news and what's happening in Playford. It's local news for local people.
Want to get involved in your community? There are so many benefits in becoming a volunteer at City of Playford, including meeting new people, developing new skills, sharing your talents, improving your employability, as well as enhancing your own mental health and well-being.
If you want to learn more about how to volunteer with us, visit playford.sa.gov.au/volunteers.
I'll ask for the doors to please be opened, and we'll just wait until we go back on live streaming. Thank you, everyone. We're back live, and we'll close the meeting at 8:34 p.m. Thank you for your attendance, everyone.
Did you know your food scraps should go in the green bin or a home compost system? It's better for the environment. It's the right thing to do. And it's easy. Fight food waste by putting all your food scraps, peels and leftovers in the green bin. To find out more, visit playford.sa.gov.au/fightfoodwaste.
Want to know what's happening in the community? Subscribe to our e-newsletter, Playford News, at playford.sa.gov.au, and you'll be on top of stories, news and what's happening in Playford. It's local news for local people.
Want to get involved in your community? There are so many benefits in becoming a volunteer at City of Playford, including meeting new people, developing new skills, sharing your talents, improving your employability, as well as enhancing your own mental health and well-being.
If you want to learn more about how to volunteer with us, visit playford.sa.gov.au/volunteers. Feedback about our city's future from our community is really important. It helps us prioritise your needs when planning services, projects and other initiatives.
A convenient way to have your say and stay in the loop on any upcoming consultations is by registering your details on our Engagement Hub website at playford.engagementhub.com.au.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Have you visited the Stretton Centre on Peachy Road, Manapara? Designed to support growth in the City of Playford, the centre offers dedicated workspaces from less than $10 per day. There's also state-of-the-art event and meeting spaces for hire, a complimentary business support service to help you upskill, apply for grants and grow, workshops and networking, as well as training for young kids right through to adults. Plus, the City of Playford Library.
Contact our team for a tour on 8254 4666 or visit the Stretton Centre at 307 Peachy Road, Manopara.